The Black Wind Door, destiny beyond the desert. In a harsh desert torn by ancient magic, young Arla is drawn into a surreal realm beyond the Black Wind Door. As she discovers her heritage as a sealer, she faces a devastating choice: to protect the fragile balance or unleash a forgotten plague. What path will she take? Chapter 1. The Desert's Whisper. The sun was a relentless, unforgetting eye in the sky, beating down on an endless expanse of red sand and jagged rock formations that stretched to a shimmering, distorted horizon. Heat rose in visible waves from the dunes, making the very air dance, and the only sound was the biting whisper of the wind, carrying fine grains of sand that chafed against exposed skin. This was Arla's world, a harsh, beautiful, and utterly unforgiving landscape where survival was a daily, meticulous art. At 16, she was lean, resourceful, her movements economical and precise, a testament to a life lived on the edge. Her eyes, however, held an ancient wisdom that seemed to contradict her youth, reflecting the vast, quiet solitude of the desert. Dressed in practical, patched clothing, her face wrapped in a scarf against the ceaseless sand, she meticulously sifted through the dust near a crumbling ancient ruin, a forgotten outpost, a skeletal reminder of a bygone era, swallowed by time and sand. She was an orphan, raised by the few, equally hardened nomads who scratched out a meager living in this desolate region, a quiet, superstitious folk who spoke in hushed tones of the ancient war, a cataclysmic event that had, according to legend, torn the very continent apart, leaving behind only dust, whispers, and the chilling tale of a world beyond the Black Wind Door. This was a place ripped from reality, a wound in the fabric of existence, and Arla had always felt an inexplicable pull towards these ruins, a faint, almost imperceptible hum beneath the sand that resonated deep within her. One sweltering afternoon, her diligent search yielded something. Her fingers, calloused from years of digging, brushed against a shard of obsidian, unnaturally smooth and cool against her skin. It was etched with a faint, swirling symbol, barely visible, but undeniably present. As her fingers traced the intricate pattern, a sudden, sharp pain lanced through her head, so intense it made her cry out. A fleeting image, blinding and terrifying, flashed in her mind. A vast, energy she felt was growing, a vibrant hum beneath her skin. She closed her eyes, and the dream began. Not as a hazy vision, but with startling, terrifying clarity. She was no longer in her tent. She stood on a precipice, overlooking a landscape of impossible colors. Bruised purples bleeding into shimmering greens, and skies that bled into a perpetual twilight. Before her, immense and terrifying, was the Black Wind Door itself. It was a swirling vortex, a raw tear in the fabric of reality, framed by jagged obsidian-like rock that seemed to pulse with a dark life. A cold, unnatural wind, smelling of ozone and forgotten dust, billowed from its depths, chilling her to the bone. She felt an irresistible pull, a profound, almost spiritual gravity, drawing her forward. A song, carried on the black wind, reached her ears, a chorus of faint, ethereal voices, layered and ancient, a melody of sorrow and longing that resonated with the strange energy within her. Come, sealer, successor, destroyer, they whispered, their voices a haunting, layered chorus. Arla took a tentative step forward, compelled by a force beyond her understanding. The door pulsed, expanding, its black wind reaching for her, tearing at her clothes, pulling her inexorably closer. She felt a strange warmth spreading from her chest, a tingling sensation in her veins, responding to the call, to the destiny she was only just beginning to grasp. The symbol on the obsidian shard, now visible on her skin, glowed faintly, mirroring the vortex. The dream intensified, becoming terrifyingly real, blurring the line between sleep and waking. The black wind whipped around her, a tangible force, pulling her forward with an undeniable power. She fought it, a primal fear seizing her, but the pull was too strong, too ancient to resist. The vortex consumed her, a silent scream caught in her throat as she was sucked into the impossible depths of the black wind door, leaving the arid desert behind for a world she could never have imagined. Chapter 2. Through the Black Wind. The world dissolved into a maelstrom of chaos. Arla was no longer in her tent, no longer in the desert. She was tumbling, violently disoriented, through an impossible void where shadows swirled and blinding flashes of light erupted and died in an instant. The black wind, a tangible, howling force, tore around her, not merely buffeting her, but seeming to strip away her very essence, her sense of self. She felt a profound, aching cold that seeped into her bones, followed by an intense, burning heat, then nothing at all, as if her body was being stretched and compressed across unimaginable distances, across the very fabric of reality. Memories, fleeting and fragmented, flickered past her mind's eye like dying embers. The harsh, sun-baked dunes of her desert life, the weathered faces of the nomads who had raised her, the comforting warmth of the sun on her skin. They felt distant, fading, as if the journey through the black wind door was slowly erasing who she was. The sensation was akin to being unmade, a terrifying dissolution that left her screaming silently into the void. A scream swallowed by the howling torrent of the black wind itself. A sudden, violent jerk, a jarring impact that knocked the breath from her lungs, brought her tumbling to a brutal halt. She slammed into something hard, the force of the collision leaving her sprawled, disoriented and aching, on a ground unlike any she had ever known. Slowly, painfully, she pushed herself up, her head throbbing with a dull ache that resonated with the strange energy still coursing through her veins. The air here was thick, humid, heavy with the scent of damp earth and something metallic, like ozone. A landscape itself was a nightmare of impossible geometry and broken beauty. Jagged, crystalline mountains, their surfaces glowing faintly with an inner light, pierced the bruised sky, defying the very laws of physics. Rivers of shimmering, viscous liquid flowed upwards, defying gravity, before cascading into vast, silent chasms that seemed to stretch into infinity. The ground beneath her feet was a mosaic of shattered rock and strange, bioluminescent flora that pulsed with a soft, eerie light, casting shifting patterns across the alien terrain. Everything felt ancient, broken, yet strangely alive, humming with an unseen energy. This was it then. This was the world beyond the black wind door. She looked back, desperate for a sign, a way out, but there was no door, No visible tear in reality, no swirling vortex, just the shimmering mist and the impossible landscape, stretching endlessly in every direction. She was trapped. A faint, ethereal sound drifted on the strange heavy wind. A low, mournful hum. A collective sigh that seemed to resonate deep within her. It was the song from her dream. Stronger now, almost palpable, a constant, sorrowful presence that seemed to emanate from the very ground, from the shimmering rivers, from the glowing flora. Lost, broken, waiting. The forgotten voices hummed, a mournful, layered chorus. Closer now, more distinct. Arla took a tentative step, her body aching, but a strange energy coursing through her veins, a faint echo of the warmth she felt in the dream. The ground beneath her pulsed faintly with her step, and she felt a strange resonance, a connection to the broken land, to the song that now seemed to be a part of her. She was not alone. The forgotten souls were here, their song a constant, sorrowful presence, drawing her deeper into this shattered realm, into the heart of its ancient, profound sorrow. Chapter 3. The Shattered Song. Guided by the omnipresent, mournful hum, Arla ventured deeper into the shattered realm, each step taking her further from the familiar and deeper into the surreal. The landscape shifted and transformed around her, a living, breathing nightmare of impossible beauty. She navigated through forests of crystal trees that chimed faintly with every breath of the strange wind, their translucent leaves shimmering with inner light. She crossed plains where the ground rippled like disturbed water, sending faint, unsettling vibrations through her feet. The air grew heavy with the constant, melancholic chorus of the forgotten souls, a song that seemed to seep into her very bones, a symphony of sorrow and longing that was now as much a part of her as her own heartbeat. She felt a strange resonance with it, a connection that both comforted and terrified her. Her journey led her to a vast, desolate clearing, dominated by a colossal, broken monument. It was a cowering spire of the same obsidian-like material that had framed the black wind door, now shattered into colossal fragments, thrusting towards the bruised sky, like the broken teeth of some ancient beast. Runes, glowing faintly with an inner, pulsating light, were etched into its jagged surfaces, shimmering with an energy that felt both ancient and profoundly powerful. As Arla approached, drawn by an irresistible force, the omnipresent hum intensified, swelling into a deafening roar in her mind. And the forgotten voices became clearer, almost distinct, a chorus of whispers that seemed to rise from the very stone itself. The sealers, they bound, they broke. The price. Arla felt a surge of power, a tingling sensation that began in her chest and spread rapidly through her hands, making them glow faintly. Instinctively, she reached out, her fingers brushing against one of the glowing runes on the monument. A blinding flash of light erupted, momentarily consuming her vision, and a fragmented, chaotic vision flooded her mind. She was no longer in the clearing. She was a witness to an ancient, cataclysmic battle. Magic tore the land apart, raw energy ripping through the very fabric of reality. She saw figures in flowing robes, their faces obscured by hoods, wielding immense, unimaginable power, their movements precise and desperate. They were the sealers, engaged in a final, desperate act of sealing, tearing a world apart to contain a devastating magical plague, a force so virulent it threatened all existence. Amidst the chaos, She saw a symbol, a swirling vortex, identical to the one on the obsidian shard, glowing fiercely on the chest of one of the robe figures. The unmistakable mark of the sealer. And then, with a jolt that sent a shockwave through her body, she saw it on her own hand, faintly glowing, confirming the lineage the forgotten voices had whispered. A voice, ancient and resonant, spoke directly into her mind, cutting through the cacophony of the forgotten souls, emanating from the monument itself. You carry the blood, child, the blood of the sealers. The song calls for you. They are the souls of this world, trapped by the sealing. They seek release through a successor or a destroyer. Arla recoiled, overwhelmed by the sheer weight of the revelation. The colossal monument, the echoing voices, the sudden, undeniable manifestation of her own power. It was too much, too vast to comprehend. The ancient guardian continued, its voice filled with a weary wisdom that transcended time. The black wind door is not merely a passage. It is the wound. And you, Arla, are the only one who can heal it or tear it open further. The song of the forgotten souls swelled around her, a desperate, pleading melody that now seemed to resonate with her own burgeoning power. Arla clutched her glowing hand, the weight of her newfound destiny pressing down on her, the fate of this shattered realm resting, impossibly, in the hands of an orphan from the arid desert. She was no longer just Arla. She was a sealer, and the crossroads of an ancient war awaited her. Chapter 4. Legacy of the Sealers. Days bled into a desperate quest for answers, a relentless journey deeper into the fractured heart of the torn world. Arla, no longer just an orphan from the desert, now moved with a purpose, guided by the spectral, disembodied voice of the ancient guardian. The guardian, a shimmering, almost imperceptible form that only she could perceive, emanated from the colossal monument, its ancient wisdom slowly unraveling the tangled threads of this realm's history. It revealed fragments of a cataclysmic past. The Sealers were not merely powerful mages, but a desperate order who, during the height of the ancient war, had torn this very land from the main continent to contain a devastating magical plague, a virulent force that threatened to consume all reality. The Black Wind Door, Arla learned, was not just a portal, but the raw, bleeding wound of that separation. And the forgotten souls, whose mournful song was her constant companion, were the echoes of those who had perished in that cataclysm, forever bound to this fractured reality. As Arla absorbed these revelations, her own sealer blood began to manifest more overtly, a tangible connection to the ancient power flowing within her. She discovered she could subtly manipulate the bioluminescent flora that clung to the crystalline walls, causing it to glow brighter or dim with a mere thought, painting the surreal landscape in shifting hues. She could perceive faint energy currents in the shattered ground. Arla took towards understanding. She felt their suffering, a profound empathy that drove her forward, knowing that her destiny was inextricably linked to their release. Her journey led her to a vast, shimmering lake of liquid light, its surface swirling with iridescent colors, reflecting the bruised sky above. It was a place of ethereal beauty, yet it felt charged with an immense, ancient power. Guarding its shores were spectral figures, the echoes of the Sealers. They were translucent, robed figures, their faces obscured by hoods, their movements slow and deliberate, like sentinels frozen in time. They blocked her path, their voices a low, resonant hum that vibrated through the very air, A warning. Turn back, sealer. The wound must remain closed. The price was paid. Do not disturb the balance. Arla felt a surge of fear, a primal instinct to obey. But the desperate song of the forgotten souls, the memory of their torment, pushed past it. She extended her glowing hand, channeling the nascent energy she felt within her, and a wave of shimmering light erupted from her, pushing back the echoes. They recoiled, their forms wavering like smoke, but did not disappear, their silent warning lingering in the air. She had passed their test, but the path ahead was fraught with moral complexity, a choice between ancient duty and profound compassion. The ancient guardian's voice resonated in her mind, clearer now, guiding her towards the heart of the mystery. They guard the heart of the wound, child, the nexus of the sealing. There, you will find the truth of the song, and your choice will be made. Arla looked towards the center of the shimmering lake, where a faint, pulsating light glowed from its depths, a beacon drawing her towards the ultimate confrontation. The song of the forgotten souls swelled around her, a desperate, pleading crescendo, a symphony of longing for release. She understood now that the choice was not just about opening or closing a door, but about the fate of countless trapped souls and the true cost of ancient magic. A burden that now rested solely on her shoulders. Chapter 5. The Nexus of Destiny. Arla stood at the precipice of the heart of the wound, a vast, circular chamber at the very center of the shimmering lake of liquid light. The air here didn't just hum, it crackled with raw, untamed magic, a palpable energy that vibrated through every atom of her being. The walls of the chamber pulsed with an intense, bioluminescent light, casting shifting, ethereal glows across the crystalline floor, which hummed with the same resonant energy she had felt in the shaft that brought her here. In the absolute center of the chamber, a swirling vortex of pure light and shadow pulsed, a miniature, contained version of the Black Wind door, but far more intense, far more volatile. This was the nexus of the ancient sealing, the very core of the torn world, the point where two realities had been violently ripped apart. The song of the forgotten souls was deafening here, no longer a distant hum, but a swirling, cacophonous chorus of sorrow, anger, and desperate longing. They manifested more clearly now, translucent, ethereal figures swirling within the vortex itself, their faces contorted in eternal agony, their spectral hands reaching out, pleading. They were not malevolent, Arla realized, but profoundly, eternally tormented, trapped between worlds, their very existence a scream of unresolved pain. Release, freedom, successor, destroyer, end the pain. Their voices wailed, a desperate symphony of suffering that tore at Arla's heart. The ancient guardian's voice, now weaker, strained, echoed in her mind, a final, weary whisper of ancient wisdom. The choice is yours, sealer, to become the successor, to bind them anew, to maintain the seal, to let this world continue its fractured existence, preserving the balance the sealer sought, the balance that kept the plague contained, or to become the destroyer, to shatter the seal, to unleash the magic contained, to allow the souls to finally dissipate, to find their peace, but at what cost to your own world? The plague, the tearing, it could return. Your reality could be undone. Arla looked at the tormented faces of the forgotten souls, their agony a tangible force. She felt the immense power within her, the sealer blood responding to the magical nexus, urging her towards the ancient duty of her lineage. She could feel the pull to embrace the sealing, to become a new guardian, to continue the ancient task of containment, to maintain the fragile balance. But she also felt the profound suffering of the souls, their desperate, agonizing plea for an end, for true release, for a peace that had been denied them for millennia. The weight of the decision was immense, a burden that threatened to crush her. She closed her eyes, and in the darkness she saw the arid desert of her home, the quiet strength of the nomads, the harsh, undeniable beauty of her own world. She remembered the initial fear of the Black Wind Door, but also the irresistible pull, the sense of destiny that had drawn her here. She opened her eyes, a new resolve hardening her gaze, a fierce determination replacing her earlier apprehension. She knew her choice. She reached out both hands towards the pulsating vortex, her sealer mark glowing fiercely on her skin, a beacon of power and decision. The chamber pulsed, the souls wailed, and the fate of two worlds hung in the balance as Arla, the orphan from the desert, embraced her destiny at the nexus of magic and mystery.